an original.
From Story Studio Network.
Hi, I'm Dean Gation, and this is the Powerful Connections Podcast. Welcome to Season 2. For many years, my efforts as a service provider were focused on developing, planning, and building high-voltage projects. Whether it is transmission lines, substations, distribution systems, or connecting generation, projects with my involvement have been successful. My company, DGG5 Advising, is the opportunity maker you need for your energy and construction projects. This season, my guests and I will focus on specific topics of interest and bring them to light in interesting discussions. On this episode of Powerful Connections, we will discuss the transformations happening in the utility sector. With me on the show today is a good business associate and a returning guest, Rob McNeil, President, Composite Power. Rob, welcome back, and please introduce yourself to the listeners.
Thanks, Dean. Thanks for having me back. I'm Rob McNeil with Composite Power Group. I've been with the company since about 2013 and took over as president a couple of years ago. So our company supplies electrical equipment and other services to the utility industry. My background is electrical engineering, so I come from a technical background. I like to tell people I'm an engineer by education. Definitely enjoy the consultative selling process and solving problems for customers. That's really what drives me at the end of the day, and it's a great fit for my role at Composite Power.
Thank you for being here today, and remind us a little bit about what Composite Power does.
We're a partner-owned sales agency. So effectively, manufacturers contract out their sales and marketing to our company in Canada. If a factory is producing electrical equipment somewhere in the world, could be in Canada, could be in the United States, could be overseas, they can hire our company to provide local sales and marketing support. And all of the people on our staff have either a technical education or equivalent utility industry experience, so we really understand what we're selling. So hands-on, feet on the street, linking suppliers with customers. That's the core focus.
Good to hear. I know it's been a few months since you became president, so congratulations on your appointment. What do you see in the short term for Composite Power under your lead?
So in the very short term, we're managing the current political situation. If you told me a couple of years ago, I would have been upending my day today to look at our risk exposure on tariffs. I never would have believed you, but here we are doing that. Longer term and where the company is going, we're looking to grow our partner-owned business. We really see a need for the services and expertise that we offer. With the demographic changes, with all of the need for change in the industry, bringing in new technology, there's a strong need for technical people that can help articulate the value of a lot of these new technologies. We're really focused on building bridges between our customers and new innovative suppliers that'll help us build a better grid. That's our mission. That's what we're focused on. Let's
get into our discussion. Power systems have grown and are growing in complexity as electricity demand increases and decarbonization efforts intensify. The Ontario government is issuing directives on modernization. The OEB is consulting on DSO models. The evolution requires more information exchange and more advanced tools to assist with the planning, managing, and operating of electrical systems. AI is helping facilitate the forecasting of demand and manage supply and assist with how operators respond. The role of AI is increasing significantly, so the ability to control, protect, and repair systems are becoming more and more prevalent because of AI. AI technologies are playing an ever-increasing role in grid operations. What are your first thoughts, remarks you want to convey to us on this?
I'll talk through a little bit of the impact on our company, the impact on our suppliers, and I'll talk a little bit about then the impact on our customers. Right from the core of our business, we drive all of our activity off of a Salesforce.com platform, customer relationship management platform. That inherently has a little bit of introductory AI and other systems in it. But we're doing some work right now actually to evaluate the data that we take in. And we're bringing in another third party that can actually use some of that data to provide us with some additional insights that we can use to help us operate our business and connect with our customers better. What it's going to help us do is draw things like our email in, our calendar, and help use the AI to create some insights across our organization so that we can connect a little bit better as a team. So, I mean, that's a very introductory version, but it's how businesses are starting to get going. When I'm talking to our suppliers, they're doing similar things on the business front, but we're also starting to see them add things to help with design and production into their system. So another great example of where we're seeing from our supplier base, things like CAD packages are starting to integrate AI. So where they've got a whole database of designs and other things that have happened, there's CAD packages now that can speed up wiring and other design services, things that companies are doing that are taking an engineer lots of time to do could be done a lot faster, which is definitely something that's going to help the industry out, because right now the biggest bottleneck we have is actually engineering resources in terms of our ability to get things done.
Wow.
Then on the customer front, at the operational level, we're still waiting for a lot of these systems to get into the operational level of the utility. I know that our largest customers are making investments in software and AI to leverage customer and demand data. There's lots of stuff happening in the customer service group. Things are happening on the customer side of the meter with individual customers to understand their own demand and lower their energy bills. Now, Composite Power, we play on the utility side of the meter, and we're seeing very limited use of like AI at scale right now. We go to conferences, we'll see white papers presented. People are presenting individual technology. Customers are running lots of pilots, but there's still lots of work for our customers to do to get their platform set up. They need to upgrade their SCADA systems, continue to build out their ADMS, advanced distribution management systems, which also integrate their outage management systems and distributed energy management resource systems. Like there's all types of software that our customers need to deploy to get these types of things going. The one thing I do think, though, is that once these systems get out there, it's going to accelerate quickly, and it's coming sooner than everybody thinks.
The impact is more than you fathom. Just talking about it, I didn't realize all of the impacts in our day-to-day. I even think about the things we do in these recordings. We get to edit them through an AI tool, and it's quicker, faster, better. There's so many areas of impact, but one of the ones you came up with was investments. And I don't think people think about the investments they're going to get into. But anyways, let's talk about how you, Composite Power, your vendors you talked about, your service providers you're promoting, are leading and helping in the impact of AI.
New technology is an area that's been important to Composite Power. We definitely drive the majority of our revenues off of conventional grid technology, transmission line materials, substation equipment, material for distribution lines. The last 10 years or so, we've been keeping our eye on kind of the technology roadmap, consulting with customers about what they want to invest in, and also trying to get our head, in this AI space that we're talking about today, Dean, try to understand where things are going. And for Composite Power here, I think that in the near term, what we're really looking at is helping our customers deploy equipment that's going to help them collect data. So they're investing in these software systems. They need data to go into the software systems, which the AI tools can then train off of to help them make decisions. So the first step with AI is having data for models and bringing our customers those technologies. So some very quick examples. Last year we had Alexi from Northern Transformer on here. They've created a partnership with Rheinhausen to help standardize control cabinets for large power transformers. It comes with a whole suite of potential sensors, from fiber optic sensors that can go inside the windings of the transformers, to bushing monitors, to gas monitors, and other digital monitors for things like oil temperature and level and things like that. So those types of platforms can feed back into this system, which has a software interface, which can now help with things like predictive analytics, warranty management, other things like that. So, just getting the sensors out there is the first step. The second thing is we've created a partnership with Sentient Energy. And this is one of the ones I'm very excited about. Sentient has technology for line sensors for distribution systems up to 46 kV. As you know, living in a more rural part of the province, there's many areas where the utility doesn't know that the power is even out unless a customer picks up the phone and calls. Putting line sensors up is a way to start to get some visibility, but these sensors also have extremely high data resolution, advanced current monitoring, and in the background, Sentient has created a software platform that starts to bring the AI component in. So once you deploy enough of these things, you can start to getting into predictive type models where you could have a leaky insulator or a transformer that's going to become defective, and these sensors could pick up the signatures to predict those things in the future. But the first step is just getting some of these systems out there and starting to bring back some data, and that's what our first step is.
And it's such a neat thing, just thinking about while I'm listening to you, just the simple things of annual inspections we used to do and the thermography and so forth. So we did it at that moment in time once a year. You put these sensors in place, you're doing that sensing in milliseconds, and you're getting that information in real time, live, able to analyze it, not wait a year and then go, oh, geez, we should have.
And with the computer systems and clouds and things that are available today, like I've seen, like you mentioned thermography, I saw a supplier that's looking at putting those types of things on trucks so that, as the utility truck drives around the province, it's got a GPS signal, it's got the cameras, it could monitor vegetation as it goes and flag someone to go and cut a tree somewhere. Like those are the types of things that, like, you think about the productivity improvements you can get by properly leveraging these tools is absolutely transformational.
Wow. Whole other day, another topic. Let's move on. Rob, do you feel that the utilities are making strides in keeping up with the new products for system demands?
Bigger utilities, yes, I think they are keeping up. They're making a lot of those back-end investments that we talked about. Smaller utilities, I think the jury is out. Right now, it takes a lot of capital to invest in these software systems. The big companies that have developed them are really targeting those bigger users. There's a certain element here where lower cost solutions that the smaller utilities can afford and that are scalable for them, need to be developed for them to implement. It could be very difficult as a smaller company, first of all, to keep up with what's happening in the industry. And then second of all, is the solution really tailored to you? The other issue in this is kind of one that gets back to the way our utilities, particularly here in Ontario, are owned. A bigger, well-capitalized company like Hydro One has lots of people to study things. You get to a smaller municipally owned utility, it's going to be more difficult for that customer to find the funding. Their shareholders are used to receiving a dividend from that company. With grid modernization and all the investment that's required, these shareholders might actually be in a position where they need to capitalize the company or find outside forms of investment in order to be able to prepare that organization for the future. So I think this type of thing, lower cost solutions might be able to be deployed. The alternative might be ownership changes or consolidation in the future for smaller players.
This is the discussion we had previously on where does investment come from, and conventional thinking. Is it really different today, or is it just conventional thinking based on today's requirements? So are you left behind or are you ahead of the wave? So many things to ponder in the points you've made. So what do you feel is the biggest change happening in equipment that you are sourcing for your utility customers?
The last couple of years, we've gone through a lot of major shifts. Pre-pandemic, we were very much in a buyer's market. Things were extremely competitive. We've moved to a seller's market. That's still predominantly the way things that are, especially for components like large power transformers and high voltage circuit breakers. Lead times are long, demand is strong. Companies are still catching up and investing to create the capacity that we need for the future. A great example is our partners at Northern Transformer. It takes years to plan, design, and build a new transformer facility, but they're in the final throes, and they'll be able to make the announcements about a new factory to increase their capacity. So these things are coming. The other thing is, like, with the pandemic, our customers, for the most part, saw that there is an advantage to sourcing closer to home, especially for large strategic components, but also the value of forecasting and communication. We've got some of the best communication going today with many of our customers that we've had in years because of some of these challenges around the whole supply chain. It's really forced a lot more proactive communication to happen so that we have visibility of projects that are coming. And this is what we want to do. We want to create that dialogue so that our vendors can see what's coming and our customers have the product when they need it to do the builds they need. If you need a power transformer today, you need to start planning 2, 3, 4 years in advance, or you're not going to be able to get your equipment. The biggest issues that we've still got, though, it's still a highly variable market out there. Component lead times can change on very little notice. So all of a sudden, the bushings as part of a power transformer that maybe they were available in 6 months, a large order got placed and they've gone out to a year. And now all of a sudden you've got a $3, $4, $5 million transformer held up because you can't get bushings. Raw material cost fluctuations. So copper and aluminum and steel have been up and down and up and down. That's definitely playing into variability. Freight costs and international shipping volatility. So container prices from China are still very high. International intermodal freight can be a little bit unpredictable at the moment still. Don't get me wrong, it's much better than it was. But it also doesn't help that we've had strikes in ports and other things that have disrupted transit. And then the last one, and I mentioned it very briefly off the beginning, is the threat of tariffs. Who would have thought that we would be sitting here today in North America talking about the threat of tariffs with our biggest trading partner?
There'll be outcomes realized when this episode airs, because it'll be after February 1. There's a couple points that I wanted to reply to, and the excitement of Alexi a couple of weeks ago when I saw him at EDIS was just off the charts. The things they're doing and the things that are coming, and I'm so happy for them. And we talked about it last year when we talked about equipment and so forth. And the things you talk about today in planning, we talked about it a year ago. It's an even more issue of planning and metal fluctuations and freight cost fluctuations. I can't imagine how you have to deal with them.
It's interesting actually working with customers on this whole matter, because the other thing is that prices have increased over the last few years. A lot of it's due to the cost of raw materials and inputs. And some of it is because of demand-driven factors. So the other thing that's starting to happen is our customers are starting to encounter some fiscal pressure on their rate-regulated budgets because of all of this spend. So that's another thing that's kind of evolving as well, is that, we've got all this work to do, this transformational spend that needs to happen. There are mechanisms within our utility customers' rates to drive demand projects and make sure that customers get connected, but you still got to maintain the grid. You need to invest in modernization. You need to do all these competing things. And in the 3 to 5 year rate cycle that a lot of these our customers have, they budgeted, at X, their material has cost them 2X, and, now they can't do as much work per dollar, and there's a re-strategization that needs to happen to go back to the regulator, build out that rate case. That's another area that we're just starting to encounter these problems, where we're starting to see customers perhaps cut some projects that they thought they were going to do, which is very interesting given, the urgency that was being communicated a couple of years ago when they initially ordered the material.
You're in a damned if you do, damned if you don't. You got to hurry up and build this, and then you got a set of reins tugging at you to say, you can't spend that. You don't have it. That's a tough dilemma for the utilities to be in, where their major revenue is a rate base and based on what they're earning, not what they're going to have to invest and what they're going to earn. That's a tough one.
I think this is where things kind of start to come full circle for us, and really what's going to drive the change is because at the end of this, electricity should be getting cheaper. We should have more of it. It should be getting cheaper, but customer rates are going up. Yeah. This is what's really going to force change for everyone in our whole industry.
Wow. More things to think about. All right. I want to progress to another thought. Are you doing more training or transfer of knowledge with your manufacturers and your sales staff or technical staff to keep up with all this rapid change. We have all these things we're doing, but we need some knowledge in order to understand it, to sell it.
Yep. Our primary method of selling is basically to get presentation opportunities to show our technology to our customers and then consult with them about their needs. And again, our team is trying to go out proactively and understand what our customers want so that we're bringing them and presenting the technologies that they want to see, things that they believe they need to deploy in their system. As we go to these presentations, the audiences are getting younger. There's always still the highly experienced people in the room that know the system, but there's a lot of younger people. When we were walking around EDIST a couple of weeks ago, there was definitely a lot more younger faces kicking around. So that training requirement is real. We are very lucky that we have a very strong portfolio of manufacturers with technical experts, R&D budgets, people we can bring in to help present, help do this training, help with that education across the industry. So that's a value that we definitely think we bring. Internally, we've also got the challenge of trying to hire and retain qualified people in our business to facilitate all this work. So, we're working hard to bring those people in, pass on our knowledge, especially as we have some of the more senior members of our company have retired. I'm planning a trip for 6 of our employees. We're going to go to Georgia and South Carolina, see 4 of the factories we work with, meet the teams, because again, that training part, delivering the technical information is one part of it, and that's super important, but also creating the relationships, building, bringing the next generation into those relationships, making sure that vendor, supplier, technical expert, customer, they feel comfortable picking up the phone, talking to you. That's how problems really get solved, and how we create strong supply relationships.
That's called powerful connections.
Yep.
The big words are digital transformation. There is a digital transformation in all industries and businesses. You even talked about it earlier, just in your emails and CRM and so forth, that transformation that's happening. Talk to us about the bigger picture of digitization of systems, data collection and analysis, connectivity of devices and networks, and a little bit about necessary cybersecurity.
At the very highest level, it's about that point we were talking about before about productivity and cost. We should be driving an electrical system that has more power, that is cheaper and more reliable. Technology in these types of systems is what's going to get us there. We're scaling right now, doing things the way we did them for the last 20, 30, 40 years, and costs are going up. That alone tells you need to change the way things are being done. We definitely are seeing some evolution on the cybersecurity front and our customers' ability to integrate software systems and data into their operations. A few years ago, let's say 2015, 16, 17, if we brought forward a solution that had a sensor and a cloud backend, we were filling out huge IT questionnaires and spending months trying to coordinate even a simple pilot project. The utility IT departments did not want to let these systems in. They wanted to control all on-premise solutions. And we're now seeing a very different and more open response. Our customers are taking their security and cybersecurity extremely seriously. I think there's more comfort being built about things like cloud. There's more experience that's happening. It's starting to come. And I think as our customers get some wins, in their customer service department, in their other business systems, it'll help build some confidence to help it flow out into sort of the more OT side of the business.
Customer service point is a big one. The ability to communicate with your users of your product and the knowledge of it, that it's safe, secure, but operating efficiently and cost effectively. The customer service part is going to be so critical. So let's take this a step further. How do you explain to customers that digitizing a substation increases reliability, stability, and protection?
So 10 years ago, we were having that conversation. We were working on some substation networking equipment and other IEDs, and those were the conversations that type of change was needed. Today, it's actually more of a pull. Our customers, you can tell that they know that they've already started been experimenting it. They've had successful pilots. Things are starting to happen, and now they want to explore the possibilities, understand what equipment they need to specify to help realize it and make it real.
Mm-hmm.
But the challenge now, from what we see, is that it's going to require a lot of change management, especially with the bigger companies. You have many departments working that have established processes, procedures, health and safety, all of these things. And now, if you deploy something different, the data is going to flow differently. Now you have to change all of your business processes. We were talking with one customer that had deployed a pilot project with a conservation voltage reduction technology. This would have been maybe back in 2017 or 2018. And we got talking about the post-mortem of that project, and it was a successful project. They got it deployed. Things were good. But then the couple of people that were keeping an eye on the system moved on to other positions. And the system kind of got lost in the mix. What it kind of reaffirmed was that, if you're going to do this stuff, the pilot is great, but if you're going to deploy at scale, you need to change your whole system. So that's kind of what we see from our customers. Again, another great example is the move from time-based to condition-based maintenance. So rather than going and maintaining that circuit breaker on a cycle, you do it when you need to maintain the breaker. Or that example we talked about that could be in the future where people are driving around with trucks and maybe trimming trees, as the sensor sees it. So these are the types of things that can really change how much you're spending on maintaining your system and allow you to deploy your capital more intelligently or more effectively.
In the business processes, what comes with it is authority to do that. So businesses have to think about how they operate in order to give the authority to go make those decisions and not need 14 people to approve it.
And in the operations side of the utility, for a very long time, engineers drove a lot of these decisions, and they were very risk-based. Like, we've done this for a long time. It works. We know it works. It's reliable. Well, today, that type of thinking isn't working. Our customers really need to re-examine their risk management at their company. Other individuals in the organization need to tell those engineers it's okay to take some more risk, because we need to make these changes. We need to move faster. So there's also some work to do there to make this realize and happen.
That's a discussion I have with many customers is risk mitigation. What are your solutions for it? What did it used to be? What should it be now? There are so many things happening in this discussion. We'll move on. How does the learning process and all the equipment, or let's call it, how is the machine learning from all the historical data help in maintenance of the asset in, say, a substation?
Let's go back to that example. So we could use the transformer example, or we could use the sentient energy example. Okay. Let's maybe go with sentient. So, if you deploy one sensor in your distribution network, at least you know now what's happening in your network. Mm-hmm. If you deploy a sensor at all the major critical points in your feeder, and in front of your key accounts, and maybe some back in your substation, now you have a full view of what's going on inside your station. Now, if you overlay that with current signatures that might anticipate events on the system, let's call it a tree contact, let's call it a leaky insulator, let's call it a bad transformer. This is where these machine learning algorithms can use that data to help you deploy faster and anticipate things that are going to happen on the system. We're just getting started, but at the same time, you picture those big utility customers, if they're deploying all these back-end software systems now, and they're starting to get these sensors out here, I think we're a lot closer to these things than we realize.
And I think, you talked about the mindset has changed. 7-8 years ago, you had to pull teeth, per se, to get them to even pay attention. Now things have flipped. They're coming to you and say, tell me what's out there. And so I think that, and it's part of the risk review process. I think people are wanting to learn more and get more solutions, because we're beyond the old systems that you just go and turn a breaker or a switch on or off. So what is the simplicity of what's happening, and what do you feel we need to get to?
I think there's a great opportunity here for like getting back to that learning part. So there's some elegance and simplicity, and there's some very good experienced engineers out there that know that.
Yes.
And I think there's going to be a great opportunity for the new generation that's coming in, that's used to their phones and cloud and instant knowledge, to collaborate with these more experienced individuals to kind of create that sort of more optimal situation. So I'm sure there's going to be situations where, there will be that good old breaker that it's just more cost effective and easier for somebody to go and manually operate for years and years and years to come.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing that the newer generation of engineers is going to bring in is that open-mindedness around these systems, trust in the software and security. Through learning and collaboration, they'll understand the system better and be able to bring these tools in. So this type of stuff is coming. I think it's coming faster than we think, and this is what's going to help us deliver a more reliable system at a better cost point. Because at the end of all of this, it's got to work for society and for the end client, the end customer, the people paying the bill. Mm-hmm. Industry's got to be able to thrive. People have to be able to pay their electricity bill. And we need to innovate to get that done cost effectively.
There's a big wave coming, and we're kind of just riding it. And are we just hanging on and so forth? After this last point, I come back to a very good book I read that was The Best Team Wins. And it was that mix of expertise and knowledge and experience with new upcoming, and how do you make that mix and how does that team work? So this is just exciting. So there is so much happening at a pace that we're going to, as humans, have a hard time keeping up with. But the ability of manufacturing and service providers to install are a whole other discussion. And we'll get there one day. And we've talked about it more, but we've really got a lot for people to think. We probably hurt people's heads today a little bit with all the points you brought up. I want to thank you for being on Powerful Connections. Always great to hear your perspective on things in this industry. Before we close the episode, what are your closing remarks? Please leave us with something for our listeners to think about and ponder.
I think that there isn't one pace for change. I think in the past in our industry, it was all very, very, very slow and incremental. I think our industry needs to take a step back and consider that some changes are better to make in big steps, take a big bite, and other things, of course, a little bit more incrementally. Everything can't be a 40-year set it and forget it business case. There might be stepping stone technologies that we need to implement that have a quick payback, and then we move on to something better later. I think we need to be open to all of these different frameworks, and the innovation will come. I see lots of great, smart people doing lots of excellent research at our manufacturers. I'm very excited about all of that organic growth. I'm very excited about all of the new solutions and companies I see coming into the industry. I see capital flowing in. Big private equity companies are starting to buy companies in our space. People are ready to invest in the electrical industry, and it's going to be a very exciting time.
Like I said, always happy to hear. This has been a great discussion on how AI is impacting the industry and how the industry needs to deal with stuff. So I always appreciate your insight and thought-provoking discussion. And our utility industry is a little nuts right now, but leadership and education is going to get us there. In this episode, Rob McNeil, President, Composite Power, highlights the ongoing changes with the ever-increasing influx of AI into monitoring, data collection, and analysis, all to help existing systems react better, operate more efficient, and help utilities provide better system security with the goal to keep electricity affordable. The energy sector is transforming the grid due to the onset of artificial intelligence. System operations are better, faster, and more efficient. So, Rainey, what did you pull out of our discussion, and what are the changes and benefits you're seeing of AI in the utility world and energy sector?
Lots of things in this one. We just scratched the surface with Rob McNeil in this discussion. Mm-hmm. AI technologies are playing an ever-increasing role, as you said, in the electric utility, customer service area, engineering, and grid operations. They're used to help analyze customer data to provide customers better understanding of their consumption and their bill. Engineers use software packages that can speed up the design, which is really important, and understand analysis of predictive failure modes. Rob sees the increased presence of AI on grid operations, where AI is used to monitor, and operate the distribution system. One of the things AI needs is lots of data to perform analysis and operate the distribution system. So Composite Power and what they're doing, working with many customers, they're bringing them all kinds of sensors to put out onto the lines to collect data and the software to perform the analysis. He also noted utilities need to upgrade their supervisory control and data acquisition systems, or SCADA systems. They got to continue to invest in their OMS, or their outage management systems, and their advanced distribution management systems, or ADMS. And the last one that they really got to get around to investing in is distributed energy resources management systems, or DERMS as they're called in the industry. Rob believes that larger utilities continue to increase their implementation of these systems and the use of associated software. So it's evident to him in the requests from the different vendors that are aimed at the larger entities more than the smaller entities. But scalable solutions for medium and small utilities are going to continue to develop as they start to move these systems down at cheaper levels and easier to work with levels. The juggling that utilities have to do with managing the fiscal pressures from the rate regulators is huge. You add in the increased presence of tariffs and the general increases in material costs, these are putting pressures on budgets. It affects the ability to invest in needed projects, and it may even have to cut some projects to remain within annual approved budgets for utilities. The other thing is cybersecurity. That's a big concern for utilities with all of these sensors and software being deployed. These are all access points for hackers to get in. So the IT people will need to be comfortable with operational technology solutions. And IT people aren't necessarily okay with letting OT people get into things. Innovation and capital deployment are coming at a faster pace in the utility industry. And all in all, Dean, this is just going to be really exciting for the utility industry.
The key takeaways that I get out of the discussion with Rob is the role of AI is increasing significantly and is improving the ability of system monitoring, control, and operations. Planning and implementation will make our systems better, safer, and cheaper. AI is having an impact on business and deploying tools to make operations more efficient. The third item is the energy sector transitions to integrate AI and data collection and monitoring is accelerating quickly. So there is a continuing amount of work to do in maintaining the backbone of utility systems with the use of the ADMS, OMS, and DERMS. And these developments are changing the opportunities for business, customers, utilities, and suppliers. So this is an opportunity that will benefit many. Find your place in the AI investment and deployment that is happening in the electrical systems. With huge increases in the scale of power required and the grid systems being built, we need technology to drive efficiency, have better operational control, and reduce the cost of power. Look forward to hearing from you after you listen to each episode. I encourage you to subscribe to Powerful Connections wherever you get your podcasts. Share the podcast with those you feel will find it interesting and useful. Connect with me on my website at dgg5advising.com or find me on LinkedIn at Dean G. Gation.
This is SSN.
Story Studio Network.